I've said it before, and this is the first time I've ever said it throughout my entire career. If I lose this fight, I retire. And I love fighting. I love the sport. I love being a boxer. I don't want it to end.
Why do you need to retire if you lose this fight?
Because losing to a Conor Benn at this stage in my career, it means that I'm not the fighter that I thought.
I'm going to come in there and stick it on you from the get-go. Straight away. I'm going to come out there hot skipping a big right hand to a big flipping head of yours.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me?
No.
What would you believe then?
I don't believe
What do you
you.
believe
I
in?
think you're going to run for your life.
Oh, shut up. Talk shit.
People want to see a rematch. If that is the case, then I will do everything in my power to oblige.
Chris Eubank Jr. has ignited the boxing world with a ruthless declaration. If he somehow loses the rematch to Conor Benn, he'll retire on the spot. That's how confident he is. After tearing Benn apart the first time, Eubank isn't just chasing victory, he's aiming to humiliate. This time, it's personal. No hesitation, no holding back. On the other hand, Benn's silence speaks volumes. Moreover, Eubank says if he can't crush Benn again, he doesn't deserve to fight. The message is clear, this rematch isn't a fight, it's career life or death.
But I said to Conor, you know, when I said about, maybe you look at 147, and he just looked at me and he said, if you think that fight was a war, wait till you see the rematch. I was like, and I just feel like...
The rematch is on. Eddie Hearn has confirmed it, and Conor Benn is already boiling with fury. As soon as the announcement dropped, Benn snapped, promising this won't be a repeat, it'll be a full-blown war. On the other hand, Eubank Jr. remains ice-cold, unfazed, and laser-focused on finishing what he started. Moreover, Hearn admitted Eubank dominated the first bout, but warned a sharper, fully prepared Benn could flip the script. The stakes, sky high. No more talk, no more hype. This is pure vengeance, raw pride, and a violent collision fans won't forget.
I'll end up a good fighter. I think if Chris has a fight with Conor, it ends up a good fight, but I think Conor's got even more of a chance next time round, because like I said, I think Chris was 1 or 2 fights away from being done. I thought his balance was gone a little bit watching the fight, but like I say, he won. He ended up winning the fight, and so I can't sound like I'm...
Boxing analyst Liam Smith didn't hold back, throwing subtle jabs at Chris Eubank Jr. while backing Conor Benn for the rematch. According to Smith, Eubank might have won the first clash, but he looked off his balance shaky, his reflexes fading. Smith hinted that Eubank's nearing the end, suggesting he's just a couple of fights away from being completely finished. On the other hand, he believes Conor Benn has an even better shot this time. Moreover, Smith thinks a sharper, more prepared Benn could expose Eubank's decline and flip the script. For Smith, this rematch isn't just possible, it's necessary.
I want the revenge, man. I want my revenge. I think inactivity played a big part.
On the other side, Conor Benn refuses to bow down. He's exploding with rage, demanding redemption at any cost. Blaming inactivity for his sluggish form, Benn insists this loss doesn't define who he is. On the other hand, he claims the real war hasn't even begun. What's more, Benn is now obsessed with revenge, promising to dismantle Chris Eubank Jr. in a rematch that'll be fueled by fury and vengeance. The pressure is on and Benn's eyes are burning with purpose. Moreover, insiders warn that a fully activated Benn could be even more dangerous. This isn't about pride anymore, it's about erasing humiliation with pure violence.
Like, we'll decide whether we do the rematch or drop down to the natural weight 147 and fight for the world title.
Tony Sims, the veteran boxing trainer, sparks uproar with his defiant claim that Conor Benn was outright robbed against Chris Eubank Jr. He doesn't hold back, blasting the judges for ignoring Benn's control, cleaner work, and relentless heart throughout the fight. On the other hand, Sims tears into Eubank Jr.'s supposed dominance, calling it manufactured hype fueled by the crowd, not actual ring superiority. Moreover, he declares that a rematch won't just be a fight, it'll be a reckoning. Sims believes Benn will return meaner, sharper, and hell-bent on flipping the script. In his eyes, the first battle was just the setup. This next chapter will determine who truly owns the rivalry.
I think Conor wants it next. Eddie was talking about maybe going down in weight. And I think that if they want to get it on, they do it again, in 6 months' time, and we'll...
Adam Smith, veteran boxing analyst, doesn't sugarcoat what's coming. This Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn rematch isn't just personal, it's explosive. He praises Eubank Jr.'s elite-level comeback, calling it one of the sport's most cold-blooded returns under immense pressure. On the flip side, Smith highlights Benn's obsession with redemption, warning that his hunger could turn into reckless aggression. Moreover, both men are walking into a storm, Benn with rage in his veins and Eubank Jr. with ice in his eyes. The real issue is, only one can emerge as the face of British boxing. The burning question is, can Benn rewrite the humiliation, or will Eubank Jr. bury him for good? This fight will tear the roof off.
I think Chris won it, to be honest, with the sheer effort that Conor put in. It should have been like a majority, maybe a couple of rounds. You know what I mean? I didn't have it so wide. But look, the right man won.
Peter Fury, veteran boxing trainer, ripped through the hype with no hesitation. Chris Eubank Jr. wasn't just better, he was in a completely different league. While he acknowledged Conor Benn's grit and energy, Fury made it brutally clear, bravery doesn't win fights, skills do, and Eubank Jr. had every edge. He slammed any claims of a close contest, insisting the fight was never in doubt. Moreover, he praised Eubank Jr. Atlas control, sharp counters, and superior timing that left Ben swinging at shadows. On the other hand, he described Ben as raw, reckless, and emotionally unstable in the ring. The real issue is, Ben looked like a fighter still learning while Eubank performed like a seasoned surgeon. For Fury, this wasn't just a victory, it was a warning to the division that Eubank Jr. is still very much elite, and Ben is far from ready to share the spotlight with him.
Come back, he'll be a better fighter. You know, we've got a lot to go back. Well, not a lot to go back, just to be able to take his...
Nigel Benn, the legendary boxing icon, explodes in pure rage after witnessing his son get dismantled by Chris Eubank Jr., furiously slamming the result as a disgrace that should never stand. Refusing to accept the legitimacy of the outcome, Nigel goes on a full-blown offensive, tearing into Eubank Jr. and labeling him a lucky, cunning opportunist who capitalized on a rusty, underprepared Conor. But here's the twist, Nigel isn't just angry, he's demanding immediate revenge. He promises that a focused, razor-sharp Conor will return with ferocity and annihilate Eubank Jr. without mercy. Not only that, Nigel claims the entire fight was a setup, calling the weight games and timing a deliberate trap. The burning question is, can Eubank Jr. survive a rematch where every excuse is gone and the storm is unleashed? Nigel warns the war hasn't even started yet. This time it'll be personal, it'll be brutal, and it might be the end for Eubank.
Happy, but I already knew what he could do, so I wasn't impressed, wasn't about it. But I knew what he could do, and I'm happy he done it. He was listening, and he did exactly what I thought he'd do, and I'm happy about it.
Boxing analyst Jonathan Banks unleashed a brutal reality check for Conor Benn, giving Chris Eubank Jr. full marks for what he called a tactical demolition. According to Banks, Eubank's calm under pressure, laser-sharp ring IQ, and flawless execution dismantled Benn round by round. While fans wanted chaos, Eubank delivered control. Meanwhile, Benn's wild, desperate swings only exposed his flaws. Banks took it further, shutting down critics who doubted Eubank's ability to handle weight cuts, power, and pressure. The truth is, Eubank didn't just win, he dominated with chilling precision. Now the real question is, after witnessing that cold, calculated beatdown, what fighter in the division has the courage or the foolishness to face Eubank Jr. next in that same unforgiving ring?
He's still a baby in the sport, he's still got learning to do, and I think fighting Eubank Jr., who would mostly be entering the ring bigger than he would last time, I just can't see it. I just can't.
Boxing trainer Joe Gallagher launches a scathing attack on Conor Benn's credibility, tearing apart any notion that he's ready for a rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. Gallagher labels Benn as inexperienced and out of his depth, bluntly describing him as a baby trying to swim with sharks. According to him, Eubank isn't just ahead, he's in an entirely different league, sharpened by years of elite-level warfare. On the flip side, Benn is still learning on the job, and a rematch won't be redemption, it'll be disaster. Gallagher warns that Eubank will return even more dangerous, more focused, and with zero mercy. Benn might be chasing greatness, but Eubank is already living it. The gap in class is undeniable, and if Benn dares to step up again, he could face a beating so vicious it ends his ambitions permanently.
Conor Benn can fight anybody from 147 to 154 to 160. Conor Benn can fight who he wants. Both of them can almost handpick who they want to fight next.
Boxing manager Sam Jones rips into Conor Benn's bold claims of fighting anyone between 147 and 160 pounds, calling them nothing more than a fantasy. According to Jones, Benn is still miles away from elite level, more hype than substance. He criticizes Benn's habit of cherry-picking opponents, suggesting it's a desperate attempt to mask his limitations. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr. is a different beast entirely, battle-tested, mentally sharp, and proven under pressure. Jones makes it brutally clear Benn can talk all he wants, but when it comes to stepping in with real killers, he crumbles. On the other hand, Eubank Jr.'s composure, pedigree, and killer instinct have already shut down Benn once, and it's only going to get worse in a rematch. The truth is, Benn's words don't match his performances, and Eubank is the nightmare he still can't wake up from.
The fight really showed us last night that a good big un beats a good little un. They're good, they're not great. So Eubank wins the fight. Where he goes from here in terms of world level, I don't know, because I don't want to pour cold water on the fight.
Former world champion and respected boxing analyst Duke McKenzie tears into Conor Benn's rematch hopes, declaring that Chris Eubank Jr. is simply leagues ahead. McKenzie didn't sugarcoat anything, he dissected the bout and exposed the brutal truth. Benn was outmatched in every department. The power, all Eubank. The precision, sharper than ever. The aggression, unrelenting. McKenzie insists that Eubank Jr. didn't just win, he dominated in a way that left no room for doubt. On the other hand, Benn looked like a fighter overwhelmed by pressure and clueless under fire. McKenzie warned warns that if a rematch happens, fans shouldn't expect a different outcome. It'll be another clinical dismantling. He even goes as far as to say Ben should think twice before signing that contract again because Eubank's engine is still running at championship pace. The burning question is, does Ben truly have what it takes? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more explosive boxing takes.